Hi there and happy Tuesday. Welcome to another installment of what is this? Don't worry, I have a plan for today. We have a point. So, how are you guys doing? Do you guys live in a place where you got hit by that wicked snowstorm yesterday? I can see on my screen like it's just white outside, and that's because we got like 2.5 feet of snow yesterday, and it all came down in like the span of maybe 6 hours. So, yeah, we got dumped on. Oh, don't do this to me. Shut up. So yeah, it's like walking in a winter wonderland. Here in Pennsylvania, we have the groundhog thing. Punxsutawney Phil, I guess, saw his shadow, but other groundhogs did not. It, I was explaining to my 10-year-old son this morning what Groundhog Day is and how it's symbolic. And, you know, when I was growing up, we were always told, they watch the groundhog creep out of its hole, and if it sees its shadow and gets scared, 6 more weeks of winter. But now, especially in Punxsutawney, we have the groundhog diviners, these guys in the weird hats who talk to Phil, and Phil whispers to them if winter is over or not. It's weird. Like, right? If you really think about it, it's the year 2021, and we have guys whose sole job it is on February 2nd is to be groundhog whisperers for a crowd of people. Like, it's fun. I really enjoy it. But when you take a step back from it and look at it, it's like, it's weird. That's weird. I don't know. But I do not think we're getting an early spring. But we'll see. I don't talk to the groundhogs. I've got a groundhog that lives in my backyard and tries to eat my garden every summer. But he doesn't talk to me. And if he did, that would be really cool. And I would tell you guys about it. But he doesn't. Okay. So, I, like a lot of creators, I can't speak for everybody. I can only speak for me. This is just summarisms. I have to spend a lot of time kind of sitting quietly in my own head. It's part of kind of letting your mind go down these weird side streets, and that's how you come up with some of your better ideas, is just being quiet and sitting with yourself. Sometimes it's productive, sometimes it's not. This one, writing wise, was not very productive because I'm in the middle of writing like the longest work I'll have put out yet, and it's going great. I have moved through the block, you guys, but I need a little, little idea sessions every now and then. This one was not at all fruitful for that, but it was fruitful for these videos, and I'm going to tell you why. I got to thinking about the movie Ghostbusters. Now, I'm going to point out some things and make some points that I completely understand are obvious. It's just in the way of me working up to saying what I want to say. So, Ghostbusters. It is kind of a known fact that Ghostbusters 2 is a children's movie. That is a movie made for kids. They completely, sillied it up. They made it a lot more like that cartoon. If you ever watched the cartoon, draw a parallel between movie number 2, Janine, and cartoon Janine, because movie number 2, Janine, is nothing like movie number 1, Janine. And that's the reason they made it more kid-friendly. The first Ghostbusters is very much not a kids movie. I mean, for one, there's one glaring example that'll completely, push that theory out of the water. Sigourney Weaver's line, "I want you inside of me." But what I got to thinking about was the whole Zool, the Gatekeeper, and Vince Clortho, the Keymaster. I mean, I know it's obvious, I know. And there is the scene where, Zool and Vince Clortho in their human bodies finally hook up. And you see them kissing, but then you see them up on the roof kind of laying about, looking like the cats that just ate the canary. Very pleased with themselves, very satisfied. So, okay. That means they had sex. Yes. And that means that it was a successful meeting. So it opened some questions for me, because what this meeting for them does, I don't know. I don't know why they had to have sex in order to stand on these weird platforms on this roof and get struck by lightning and turned into big ugly dogs that honestly look a lot like, have you ever I had a friend in high school who had boxers, and they do the things where they cropped their ears and stuff, and these dogs, I don't know why, but they just reminded me of these weird Ghostbusters dogs. I think they look like boxers, like big hairless horned boxers. But the thing that I'm having trouble with is why was sex needed? So we're talking about, you know, almost prehistory, where, you know, they talk about who Gozer is, who Zul is. We're talking about the time of the Hittites. We're talking about the time of Mesopotamia. We're talking about the time where most of civilization was happening at the Tigris and Euphrates in what is now known as the Middle East. So this is old stuff. But even then, we still had certain rites and rituals that a modern pagan would understand, a modern pagan would find familiar to them. So that kind of thing would usually be a fertility rite. You would do it like in the springtime. The fertility rites happen, you know, you want to make sure the ground is as fertile as the woman. You want to make sure that, you know, the seeds are being sown successfully. Do you understand? Like, there's something, you're planting something, you want something to grow. It's not always just about sex is fun. You know, when you're doing it in a ritual way, there is usually a fertility bent to it. And it got me thinking, Anne Rice's book, The Witching Hour, which, personal favorite of mine, it's a long book, and I completely understand why a lot of people wouldn't like it. Just leave me alone. I'm sorry, my computer's being a butthole. This book is, I think I did a bonus episode on it, but I'll rehash real quick. It is a history of a family of witches, and these witches are aided by a spirit. And the spirit has made a prophecy ever since he sort of hitched his wagon to this witch family. Like the 13th door, I think that's how it works. He keeps saying the 13th door, the 13th door, the 13th door. And the 13th door ends up being the 13th generation of witches that he helps. Because he only chooses one witch out of a generation to aid. Only one witch gets the powers. And the 13th generation, he calls the door. And what that is, because this is a pact between them, this 13th generation witch doesn't quite understand what's supposed to happen, but the spirit does. And what that means is she becomes pregnant, and this spirit is able to embody the baby that she's carrying. And it like grows super fast. Like, she finds out she's pregnant, and when you find out you're pregnant, you're typically you're already a few weeks pregnant by the time symptoms start showing up, by the time you start going, hey, something weird's going on. So she finds out she's pregnant, and then this spirit overtakes the baby, and she's able to give birth like immediately. It grows supersized, and it comes out a man. And it gets kind of gross and incesty after that, because whether it's that spirit or not, that's still kind of her flesh and blood. But that kind of made me think of, you know, Gatekeeper, Keymaster, Door. Do you, like, maybe, I don't know. It got weird. I just think they wanted to have Sigourney Weaver have a romantic scene with Rick Moranis. Rick Moranis is so great in that movie. He's such a weenie. I love it. He's fantastic. But, okay. So let's get off of that. Let's get off of why we needed sex to have this happen. What if, would it still be successful, like a successful summoning of Gozer, if the sex itself weren't successful? Do we only need male orgasm? Do we also need female orgasm? Because if it's not a fertility rite, if it's something else, if it's some sort of elevation of being, kind of like an orgasm is, Would we need both? And what if Vince Clortho is unable to get Zool over the line? Would she eat, like murder and eat his human form, and he'd have to find someone else to, try again, get her there? Like, what if he can't get her there? What if Vince Clortho took over the body of, like, a man with heart problems, with blood pressure problems, and he is unable to... What if? Now, what if, like, going further down the holes of what if, what is the point? Because if it is only about orgasm, if it is only about this elevated sense of being, why does it have to be heteronormative? Why couldn't it be, 2 women, 2 men, throw some trans in there? Why does it have to be man and woman? I get the doorway and key, but what is the point? Because if it is just about orgasm, we can do any number of combinations there and still make it happen. But, I mean, like, okay, so honestly, Zool picks Dana because Zool lives in Dana's apartment? In a refrigerator? What? So, what if a man lived there? Would the gatekeeper be able to be a man, or would they have to wait for a woman to show up to then kind of possess? Vince Clortho, that monster, takes Lewis, Rick Moranis' character. There's a party going on at the house. They could have taken anybody. Why did it pick him? Because it was his apartment? Is it about placement, where you live? Because I don't know. I have questions. And they're stupid questions, admittedly, but they're questions. Mainly just, why? Why was sex needed? Why wasn't there like a super secret handshake? The super secret handshake to summon Gozer, woo! Why did it have to be sex? Because Gozer ultimately wants to show up to destroy. Gozer the Destructor, that's the dude's name, the being's name. But there's no sowing, there's no planting, unless you want to sow destruction. That's stupid. We, summon a marshmallow man who stomps on cop cars in churches. There's no planting, there's no need for fertility, there's no need for growth there. Okay, so I don't think it had anything to do with fertility. So, higher state of being, maybe, orgasms are cool and all. I've never wanted to summon a pre-Babylonian pissed off Destructo god while doing it, but, maybe. I don't want to yuck anybody's yum. It happens differently for everybody, but what do you guys think? We're getting silly. But why not? Let's get silly. What do you think? Have you, surely you've seen it. Oh God, please tell me you have. If you haven't, please watch it. It's a great movie. I've seen it, God, when my oldest son was younger, and I know I just said it's not made for kids. I watched the shit out of that movie when I was a kid. My oldest son was obsessed with the Ghostbusters when he was a little boy. And I've seen it so many times. I actually haven't watched it in a long time because I kind of pooped out on it with my oldest son. And I should probably sit down and watch it again. But, obviously it's still sort of marinating in my brain somewhere because I was kind of letting my mind wander and it happened upon this. So what do you think? Why was sex necessary for the gatekeeper and the keymaster to be able to open this door to let through this god? Theories? I'm open. Let's have a talk. So that'll do it for me. I am posting episode 50 of the podcast tomorrow. Should we start getting more Patreon subscribers after I start kind of pimping it a little more, I'm probably going to just make it single tier, $1. And just because honestly, I don't post that much. I post once, maybe twice a week. I try to be consistent, but I don't know that what I'm doing is worth $3. I don't know. But if I end up, I mentioned this last week, but if I end up shutting down this Patreon and just doing everything publicly, I want to send you guys something, because you've shown me so much support, but also so much companionship. And I have to tell you how much that means to me. The being able to talk to somebody, the being able to start a conversation and have it carried on. It has meant a lot, because 2020 was a really hard year for me, especially once maybe May and April, May, June, around there, it started getting real bad for many reasons. And I'm out of it now. I'm a lot better, but you're responsible for that in a sense. And thank you. Thank you so much. It means the world to me. It really does. So thank you for hanging in. Tell me what you think of Ghostbusters, and if you're buried in snow, I hope you're dug out soon and someone brings you something warm to eat, because it's cold out there, you guys. So I'll see you next week. Let's see if the remote's going to do me dirty, and that'll be it. So bye.